February 25th, 2:21 p.m. District Court, Courtroom number 9. Now then, will the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, please take the stand? Miss Lana Skye, you are the Chief Prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you. But Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years. Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Skye. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth. Of course, the truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister. Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Chief Gant. Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. Gant and the fabrication. I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Are you sure about this testimony? Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense. Of course I'm sure. But Lana! If this is true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this. That is what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. But what if she's telling the truth? She's not. I know my sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself. Now, the defense may now begin its cross-examination. Here we go, the final cross-examinations of the game. I worked alongside Gant for years. Let's start off with this. How many years exactly? Ever since I made senior detective. Let's see, I was 24 then, so that would be 5 years. Detective Gant and Detective Skye were legendary partners. I personally saw them testify in numerous cases. She must have been good coming from the same school as Mia. Damon Gant was a respectable detective. That's why. But think about it, Miss Skye. You didn't murder Detective Goodman. You told me as much as yesterday in jail. You still don't get it, do you, Mr. Wright? Any testimony you cannot present in court is as useless as idle gossip. I stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. And... did you do so to help your sister? Joe Dark was a serial killer. My sister almost became his last victim that day. I didn't want that incident to ruin her life. But what she did was justifiable self-defense. She wouldn't have been charged with anything. That's not the point. She was traumatized that day, all because of that creep. That's why I couldn't forgive him. Lana. So that's why you fabricated the evidence 2 years ago? You say you did this all by yourself? Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken prosecutor award knife was stuck inside the victim's body. What? Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident. That's only a situation you dreamed was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement. You mean Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark? Something like that. If that is so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle. That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies. All to protect me. So, when you found the scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to. Yes. I feel like maybe we have to press on this first and then. You planted the tip of the... Oh my god, I accidentally went through that. Wait, is this going by itself? But why? Why would you do that? You of all people should know, Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't not that bad, but maybe I ought to ask for the sake of the others. But why did you do that? Come now, Mr. Wright. Even you should be able to figure it out. Very well, let's add this to the witness's testimony. The reason Miss Skye fabricated the knife. Alright, this is going to be a bit confusing to navigate around. According to your testimony, Prosecutor Marshall's broken knife was the murder weapon, right? Yes, and leaving it at that might point the blame away from Dark. I felt it the most effective way to get him convicted would be by having the tip of his knife found inside the victim's body. So you buried it inside the victim's stab wound? Yes, because I hated Dark for what he did. Under 10 minutes. Maybe it could be the autopsy report? No, it's not. Objection overruled. We gotta always do that whenever that pops up. Alright, maybe going back and we could change it to the testimony? And then you move the body? But why? Why would you do that? Okay. Oh my god, I feel like I'm about to sneeze. Why did you move the body? Let's see that. It was where you deduced it. It was by Chief Gant's desk. But the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple. Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason Miss Skye moved the body. The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. Pieces of the jar, you mean? Yes, that wretched jar you showed us earlier. In order to show that Dark committed the crime, I felt it would be more expedient to move the body. So, when you first found the body, the jar was already... Of course, it had been shattered to pieces. If you had looked at the crime scene, it would be clear right away what happened. Neil Marshall was dead and Dark was lying unconscious. In other words, the jar must have broken during their struggle. I see. What's the matter, Emma? Apparently the jar shattered at the time the crime was committed. I have a feeling there is more to it than that. There must be a contradiction here somewhere. Anyway, I committed this fabrication completely alone. Alright, I think this might be it. We have to present the jar, probably. Yep. Miss Skye, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister. You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered? If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I am compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction within your testimony. A contradiction? In my testimony? You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan." That's right. Do you have a problem with that? It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutors must have written it in his final moments. Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not yet have been broken before he died. Ah. He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar. Order! Order! Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regard to this jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical? Chief Prosecutor, it seems you're as in the dark as we are about the truth towards which we're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth. Very well. The witness may now continue her testimony. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar. But it was dark in the room, and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could do was wiping them before they were discovered. You mean you were the one who wiped away the message in blood? I wasn't Chief Prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer? That's why she tried to erase the real evidence. Very well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination. Jar and message in blood. I do have a lot of things to say about this case after it's finished, and just a lot about the game as well, but yeah, we're basically almost at the end. Just two more. This one and one more, if I recall correctly. So let's press the first one. So the jar was already broken. It's a miracle that thing hadn't broken earlier. It certainly looks as feeble as the defense's case, but not as feeble as the judge's judgment. You were an ace detective and who never missed a detail. Do you really expect us to believe you didn't investigate what was written on the jar pieces? Normally, I would have. Let's press this. Oh, you didn't know your sister's name was written on the jar? No. If I had known, I would have gathered all the pieces and ground them to dust. Well, that helps in my case. Lana, you do that for me? It seems you two might make up yet. Anyway, I just barely had enough time to move the body as it was. If someone happened upon the scene, you'd lose your chance to erase the evidence. You must have been in a hurry. I was. I knew I had to destroy the evidence before anyone came. This is rather shocking. Wiped away the blood. Let's see this. I'm afraid this action of yours reveals what really happened. What do you mean? If you really thought Dark killed Prosecutor Marshall, you wouldn't have wiped away the blood. What else could I have done in that situation? Lana, I only had a few moments. There wasn't enough time for me to do anything else but gather up the pieces. But how could you see with the power out? It should have been in pitch black in that office. A detective is always prepared, Mr. Wright. Even now, I always carry a pocket light with a camera with me. Even I carry a bottle of emergency luminol wherever I go. I never miss anything. I got every last piece. I think this is the last one to press on. So, you legally rearranged the crime scene? But illegally, rather. Yes, I don't have any excuse for my actions. I'm so sorry, Lana. I didn't know. I've treated you so badly all this time. It's not too late. There's still plenty of time to make up. After all, we've gotten to the bottom of this incident. No doubt this day will leave a permanent stain on the history of the prosecutor's office. More contradictions have surfaced in her testimony. Your sister's really putting up a fight. She must have really care about you. Still, she's not doing this the right way. I think I finally figured out the contradictions in her testimony. There's one final possibility that might turn everything around. Think we have to present the jar again? I mean, like, she didn't wipe it away, wiping them clean, but she didn't really wipe it clean. There we go. Miss Skye, I believe this jar conceals a truth even you were unaware of. What? We found the final piece of this jar inside Chief Gant's safe. In the Chief's safe? But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it. But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off of them. Yes, but which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene. Chief Gant got there before you. But couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece? I'm afraid that's unlikely. The pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective. That may as well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Ha! Can you believe that? Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken. Oh, that. There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness. I hope you're not implying this person was Chief Gant. At the time he was looking for Dark downstairs. Besides, even if he was there first, why would he break the jar? The question is, if he did arrive first, why did he hide the fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that? No! Even the judge has his own breakdown. Wait, I'm not the one on trial here. Damon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar and purposefully hid one of the broken pieces. Question: what is this action called? Fabrication of evidence. But why would Chief Gant do that? In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear? What happened afterwards? Discovering the scene, Lana Skye believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma, and therein lies the reason. The reason why Miss Skye became the Chief's puppet. Oh my god! No! I did it on my own. Please, sis! Stop trying to protect the Chief! I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake! No, you didn't! It wasn't you, Emma! You didn't kill anyone! Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says! Defense attorneys make up the most foul lies to defend their clients. Foul lies? Imagine that coming from my own client. I guess you do seem like the type who likes to twist the truth. Wait a minute. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap? Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Lana? Maybe Wright after all. What do you mean, Wright? So you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright? Miss Skye, please testify once more. But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. Miss Skye, if you will. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will if you tell the truth. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw. All right, the witness may testify once more for the final time. Actual crime scene. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armor sword. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it all really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent. Unbelievable! The body was impaled on the sword's armor? Or the armor sword? You were the only one who saw that, if you had only had proof. Actually, I do have proof. I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning. What? To me? It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed. But I don't remember receiving a picture like that. Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright, she really does have faith in you. Very well. Mr. Wright, please present this picture. I don't remember receiving any pictures from Lana. Lana said she gave it to you this morning, right? I seem to remember getting something from her then. Then let's check the evidence again. The picture must be in there somewhere. Well, she gave us the evidence law from Miss Skye explains 2 rules of evidence law. Alright, we have the book here. Also, I just got his... Oh! Also, that looks very pixely. Hey! There's a picture here! Oh! Oh my! This is the actual crime scene! No other detective saw the crime scene like this. Because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I had rearranged everything. Lana's picture inserted into the court record. Mr. Wright! The picture cut out from this vest. Could that be the cloth we found inside Chief Gant's safe? What's this? This is a handprint, isn't it? That cloth, it had fingerprints on it. Whosever fingerprints those are must be the real murderer. What? But those fingerprints. They're yours, Emma. Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. So long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flush out the real murderer. Very well. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Here we go. This is it. As the judge said, this is the last one. So, whoa! I forgot about this part. Come now, Udgy. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen. Chief Gant? What now, you want to make me out as the bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense. I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your neck. Grr. Grr. Ah, so what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence. Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence? No, I don't. But someone does. Someone? So, what's your excuse, Righto? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall, causing his death. Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt. Is this true, Mr. Wright? If I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out as the murderer. Mr. Wright, if you have any evidence, present it now. And if you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries. What do I do now? I better not think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. Should I present that piece of evidence? The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall? Well, yeah, this is the one time in the game where showing a piece of evidence basically causes an instant game over. Because if you show the evidence at that point, yeah, there will be an automatic game over. So we are going to select cannot show evidence. Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. What? You lie! Chief Gant, you opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together. Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief Gant? Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about that chest area? It looks like part of it's been cut off for some reason. You mean you had this in your safe? What? That means you, Chief of Police, have been concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department. Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gal, Wrighto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened. What? You mean you admit to it? I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use that situation to control Lana. So you really were manipulating her. I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, that when she saw the scene, she would ask me for my aid. So, you assisted Miss Skye? I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. When I tampered with the crime scene, I had 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived at the scene, mind you. 2 pieces of evidence. You mean those 2 items in your safe? But why? For insurance, of course. Insurance? I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed. You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence? What do you take me for, a fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? I hid the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go wipe the blood off all the pieces. But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on this jar too? Ho ho ho. Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance. You mean that piece of cloth? Come on, Wright-o, cough it up already. I know you have it. What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So, you admit it then, Chief Gant, that you were hiding the cloth you cut off the victim's vest in your safe? Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago, you said you didn't have any evidence you could present. Foolish move, Wright-o. You should have shown it then, before it was too late. It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. So, let's show evidence this time. Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now. Alright then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh yes! At last you finally brought it out into the open. There's a handprint on this piece of cloth. Your Honor, the prosecution requests that be immediately sent to our lab sensors. This handprint on the leather, there must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly. You mean it could have not been forged? It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. Ho ho ho. You're as slow on the uptick as ever, Worthy. What? Think about it. Wright-o had all this time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Or would that be? You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that? Mr. Wright, do you really know? Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they? Very well. I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person to whom these fingerprints belong to is... Imagine presenting Angel Stars or like Gumshoe. Emma Skye? What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me? Oh, you're really something, Wright-o! You knew this girl did it all along, and you still try to pin the murder on me! So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death. How could you? You monster! Miss Skye, you knew whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. Miss Skye, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet. Ha! But I'm afraid it is over, boy! Not only this trial, but your career too! You purposefully concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy! What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? how it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer? Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up. Oh, and what's that? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall? What? Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask? It was Lana Skye, wasn't it? I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction. What? A contradiction? What is this fool blabbing about? I'm talking about a contradiction, one that proves who the real killer is. Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth, who could it possibly contradict? Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. Let's see here. There's Lana Skye's print, so we see it here. Trying to think. Rubber glove. It could be the rubber glove, too. I mean, Chief Gant is wearing gloves here, too, and Emma. And Lana isn't, so... Let's go for the... Oh boy, I'm... The thing is, like, it's not flashing where it's red, so... But then again, it probably, like, winged out. Oh, wait. Wait a second, hold on. I feel like something about this one, though.
Take that!
And what exactly is this supposed to be? This is the picture Miss Skye took. Take a good look at it. See where this piece of his vest was cut out? Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though. Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs, no doubt, were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth. Oh, but that piece of cloth. Wait, there's no blood on it. Ah! Since Lana Skye's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the time at the sword at the time. No, this is nonsense. Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Lana Skye, picked up the unconscious prosecutor, and impaled him on the armored sword? Then to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. A jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue. And make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago. That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest. Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance. You prove that you were the actual murderer. Oh! It's finally all over. Oh! That was close, Wright! You almost had me! Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations. What do you mean you refute his allegations? You see, that piece of cloth is illegal evidence! Order! Order! What nonsense is this? Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Udgy? Earlier, old Wright here concealed that piece of cloth. So then, what's your excuse, Wright-o? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you? Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence. At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. But that's not fair. Do you actually think you could best me in court? It looks like the last laugh's on you, son. I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth? True, illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person. Assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal. Well, Mr. Wright? It seems at last. The time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived. Mr. Wright, do you admit to it? That you purposefully and illegally concealed this piece of cloth? I did. I admit, I refused to present it at one point. Aha! So the evidence is illegal! No, it isn't, Mr. Gant. Huh? It's not that I didn't present the evidence then. It's that I couldn't. What do you mean, you couldn't? There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence. No, Udgy! Don't listen to his lies! He's nothing but a coward! You can't really believe... There is only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not? Very well, let us settle this once and for all. Earlier you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now. Well, we got the easiest thing to show. Rules for submitting evidence. Rule 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. So, one final time.
Take that!
This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Lana Skye's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more. What? You see, it's written right here in this book, the second rule of evidence law. Rule 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying, I did not have approval from the police department. Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And here is the crux of the matter. You see, at the time it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident. What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just look... I can't believe I messed that up. You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and... Sorry, but you can recall. When was that picture presented? That was shown only a few moments ago. No! He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh, yes! No! It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer, and there's only one person who that could be. Damon Gant! The killer was you! I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum! For 2 years, he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Star, then convinced Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman? Yeah, that's right. If evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. Then all of a sudden he decided to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please open the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered. He opened his evidence locker and he was taking the evidence out, he said. It's not too late. I'm going to hand all this over to Marshall. Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it, that accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out. Doing so would have led to more blood, making it impossible to hide your crime. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my fatal mistake. The bloody handprint. Detective Gumshoe's locker. I used to be known as the crime computer, but everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it. Then you put the body in my car. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will. Grr. Leaving the prosecution's car aside, how could you get Miss Skye involved in all of this? Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out. So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker. I felt bad for having to do it. I also didn't have the time to pick and choose what to take. So, you left the jar fragments and the glove. Yeah. It looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They did their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, Why do you stand in court? Me? You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Udgy! What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend! I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. I knew you used to... I knew you as you used to be long ago. You were once a fine investigator, an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person. Those days are gone now, Udgy. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Wright here, and Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sounds of a new beginning. There are two things I want you to understand. Yes. First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Skye? You are no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years. From the time I had Gant help me forge evidence up until today. So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. I'm sorry, Miss Skye. I couldn't get you out of all of your trouble. My. What high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows, a few years from now, you just might make it to the top. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Skye. And you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing. Liar. I was worried the pressure might break you. And yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth. Stop it! I only did my job. In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Skye. Yes, Your Honor? You are innocent of murder. However, although the Chief blackmailed you, the fact is that you still acted as his accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date. Yes, I understand, Your Honor. Is there something amusing about all of this? Why are you smiling? It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains. Well, this trial has gone from far too long already. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, not guilty! That is all. This court is adjourned. February 25th, 5:03 p.m., District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 2. At long last, it's finally over. Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook, but at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. No, that's not it. Just now, after the trial ended, I can see why Mia Fey thought so highly of you. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. And you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. You've done well. You know, I did my best too, but Lana didn't say a single word to me.
Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, yes I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run all around while on duty? And to top it off, you call me here? I've seen happier people at funerals. Hey, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding.
Oh, are you here because of my sister again?
Nope. Not this time. I came today because of you, pal.
Me?
That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone.
Lana! Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know.
Well, I won't tell if you won't.
Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day 2 years ago was the first time in my life I've ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess. Sis, I asked Gant to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake, but now I realized I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew. But sis, you're only doing it for me. No. Huh? I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Sis, I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. You know, sis. I always knew that one day you'd come back. And now you have. Oh, Emma. Emma! No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in so doing, we can find the way back to our rightful path. And it is from there that we can move on toward a brighter future. At least, that's what I felt watching the two sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe.
Me?
Thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth?
Edgeworth?
Stop hiding and come over here.
Where was he hiding? I just came to say, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth.
Right. Well, I'll be going now.
Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realize today that I can't correct my mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth. Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right.
You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it is really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime on my own, I need a weapon. It's scary, but I've known that to be true for quite some time now. But Edgeworth, who knows? Given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime, but they both made the same mistake. You said in order to fight on crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. That may be true, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright, and because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Huh? What? Oh, yeah. What is this, a pop quiz? Come on, Mr. Wright, show him what Lana's talking about. Evidence, huh? Something that neither Edgeworth nor I would be able to find on our own. Sorry for the cut there. Needed to find out what that was, but it's actually pretty simple. It's the evidence list. We couldn't have found it without just on our own. We needed each other. That's the picture I drew. Our counterattack began with this. You had one half of the evidence list, and I had the other half. Apart, we wouldn't have been able to completely restore Emma's picture. That didn't just happen by chance, Mr. Edgeworth. It's time for me to go. Mr. Edgeworth, if you'll excuse me, there are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Edgeworth, what will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember, you can let what happened kill the prosecutor in you, or you can let it help you grow. In the end, it's up to you. I know. It seems I owe you my thanks, too, Wright. But what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. I'd better be going too. Okay, but I'll be by to visit soon. It seems we both have a lot to learn and catching up to do. Here, this is a little something for you. Scientific investigation? It's the first book I've ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis. I will. And so, another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself. Well, don't you go trekking off just yet, pal.
Huh? What is it, Detective?
There's just a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this.
But I thought you said it was okay.
Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but the folks at the prison are a different story.
Huh?
Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either.
Huh? Way to go, Detective. I didn't know you had a wild side.
Yeah, well, haha, you see, Mr. Wright here is the one who'll be footing the bill.
Huh? Huh?
What? You think I could afford it with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal.
Huh? 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 Thank you, Mr. Wright. You're the best.
Why is it? I suddenly feel like I want to scream. Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we all go pay for it off together?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go. And that is it for Ace Attorney. Another credits sequence. And Shu Takumi, thank you so much for the series, man. I arranged for a friend of mine in Europe to take care of Emma. I hope she'll be pleased to study under a top coroner. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days at the prosecutor's office. Still, I'll manage to find my way back to the field somehow. Then, I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma. So yeah, that is it. Case 5, I honestly gotta say, it's really hard for me to pick between this case and Case 4 for my favorite case in the first Ace Attorney game. They're both amazing, and they both have their own amazing conclusions and satisfying narratives, and their character moments too.
Yikes, I thought I was a goner there for a moment there. In the end, though, they overlooked my unauthorized investigation of the chief's office. If we penalized you any more, it'd be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. It just goes to show, you can't shake off that easily.
So yeah, I guess we could talk about Case 5, and yeah, this wasn't in the original game on the Game Boy Advance. It was added on the DS version, so it kind of connected this game and its sequel. I'll also say I really love the characters introduced in this. The Skye sisters are some of my favorite characters. My new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of Billy. Can't you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard. My partner's keeping an eye on the entrance for me today. I'll show them, though. Someday I'm going to make a detective. Yes, sir! Then I can be just like that Dick Gumshoe! So yeah, we have that. Yeah, the characters introduced are amazing. I love them. I love the Skye sisters. I think everybody in this case was very colorful and probably some of the biggest, if there's a lot of important characters here compared to the other, cases. And it finally broke down. If only Edgeworth was there to see its death. Well, as for Emma, we will be seeing her in future installments. As for her sister Lana, though, this is unfortunately the last time we will be seeing her. I'll explain that a bit.
What is it? Can't you see I'm busy having me a showdown with a steak lunch partner? Miss Stark managed to sneak this into me. She's seen one of the guards, it seems. Well, cowboy, it looks like you did it. You even gave Bambina back her smile. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get their water?
So yeah, as I mentioned, this is unfortunately Lana Skye's last appearance. In future games, even ones that Emma appears in, she doesn't reappear. Even in the time skip ones. Looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while. As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu, the Righty Way lunch. The top layer tastes as bitter as defeat, but the bottom layer's as sweet as victory. Kids seem to dig the turnabout theme. It's a hot seller around exam time. Just make sure not to eat it backwards. So yeah, everybody in this case I enjoyed. I think they're just one big, massive, connected, web of people involved in this case. And it just makes the story much more enjoyable for this compared to, other parts of the game. But, yeah. I'll never forget what that young defense lawyer said after the trial. Let's see, what's his name again? Mr. Left? Anyway, he said he's been doing something or another for how many years? Well, anyway, I've got another trial to get to, so I better be... Huh? Oh no, I forgot my gavel. Sorry, gotta go. So yeah, I mentioned how Lana Skye doesn't appear in the sequels, and by sequels I also mean the later trilogy where there's a time skip. I won't be spoiling anything too much, but yeah, that's the only thing I will say about that, is that unfortunately she doesn't appear. which it kind of disappoints me. I feel like it would have made a lot of sense, especially in the time skip. And, oh, nothing soothes the soul like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing you and your objection. Still, I can't go back until I'm a full-fledged spirit medium. Mystic Maya, afternoon training's about to begin. Coming. Well, see you around, Nick. And over there, Maya Fey is at the training grounds that she's training to become a full-fledged medium, and that is also a very small hint of an area within the next game. But yeah, we're not going to be tackling the sequel Justice for All anytime soon. Probably down the line, but it's definitely not going to be anytime soon. Mr. Edgeworth? Mr. Edgeworth, I brought you your tea. What's going on? So yeah, a few spoilers, but I'm not going to say where that place is or how it's going to, what's going to the impact of it, but yeah, that is going to be a later part of the Ace Attorney games. The next game is going to be revealed what it is. Thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a little sad, but I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book. There's the letter, and opening it up reveals the two Skye sisters. It puts a smile on my face, like, oh, I feel so good at earning this, man. So, there we have it. That is the final case of Ace Attorney. Capcom, obviously, I really hope to see Ace Attorney 7 down the line, and thank you for porting all the Ace Attorney games onto modern platforms. So, yeah, that is it for Ace Attorney. Well, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Obviously, I wanted to go for something a little bit different, and yeah, I think a point-and-click puzzle-esque game, trying to solve everything was the right move, honestly. I think it needed a bit of a different thing, and also it was an entirely new series under a non-Nintendo game, so I really enjoyed it, and I'm honestly glad that I replayed through this. It's almost actually been 4 years since I last played this game. If you guys could see my continue screen, the last time I played it was on March, and funnily enough, we actually beat the game, well, I think 19 or 20 days before the final day of the trial in the real game, which is funny. But yeah, I think Case 5 has got to be very close neck and neck with Case 4. But yeah, I think that is it. We unfortunately again won't be doing Justice for All quite yet. That'll be down the line as a future Let's Play. And obviously, its sequel as well, I do want to do more of the Ace Attorney games, but we will have to wait for that. But yeah, I guess a few things before we end off. I guess this is a no-brainer anymore, but I will reveal my next Let's Play, or rather the next Let's Plays. I did have hints on my community tab, showing off what they are, the hints, and also we're going to be recording a bonus video for this, just discussing the parallels between the Skye sisters and the Fey sisters, and also just the whole story that they're involved in general, how they're parallel with each other, and how there's similarities and contrasts with them. Aside from just, being sisters. But, yeah, we're going to be doing a bonus video on that, just one bonus video for Ace Attorney. We will also be doing some bonus videos that I also announced on the community tab, to cover up some loose ends for some bonus videos, which will include the Pokemon Legends Arceus ones. We'll do some of them, and we'll also be covering the Kirby 64 bonus video of the Boss Rush. Unfortunately, Apotheosis I'm not going to be doing quite yet. Lastly, I did mention, as I said before, I revealed hints for my next 2 Let's Play games. I think I'm going to reveal it now. I will have a little trailer up for it, but well, up for what those games are. But if you guys came here and watched the whole thing, my next Let's Plays are Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon / Luigi's Mansion 2 and Super Mario Galaxy 2. So yeah, those are my next 2 Let's Plays. They're a dual Let's Play, and I guess I'll say one last announcement, is that during those Let's Plays, I will be conducting a massive poll that I'll be stretching out through most of that Let's Play to decide my 35th Let's Play in celebration of me getting 500 and 600 subscribers, and soon 700, because we're nearing the 700 mark. So yeah, I'm really happy about that. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for everyone who stayed tuned to the series. It was something new and it was something different, and I enjoyed it. It's been 4 years since I last played Ace Attorney, and yeah, going through the game again felt way better the second time around, especially reading it in my own funny interpretations of how I think the characters would sound with my own voice. I think, yeah, I think this is really special, especially going over with that. I found a lot of moments funnier, or I caught a lot of more serious and, well, character-driven moments better than I did on my first playthrough. So, yeah, thank you all so much for watching. And we'll see you all for that bonus video, and we'll see you all for our next 2 Let's Plays. Thank you all so much for watching.